Welcome to the Rotary Club of Edina. I'm your host, Josh Sprague, proud president of the #1 club in the universe. I'd like to extend a special welcome to all our club members and interested friends and community members for tuning in to another episode of Rotary TV, which is a Facebook Live broadcast of our regular meeting, which before the current crisis took place for decades like clockwork at the Edina Country Club from 12 to 1:30. Since last week, we've changed set locations to improve our Wi-Fi connection and the quality of the feed for our listeners and viewers. And now we're coming live from the Sprague household in the Cornelia neighborhood of Edina. I hope these broadcasts will feel like a never-ending fireside chat for our members and friends and community leaders tuning in, and will give you not only helpful information, but some sense of normalcy as we experience together a certainly abnormal crisis. Since last week, a lot has happened, but the biggest thing is a stay-at-home order issued yesterday for all Minnesotans by the governor, and all workers included in that order, except for those deemed to be in critical sectors. Despite the changes, I want you to know we will continue to deliver this weekly broadcast with or without guests as planned. Before we begin the program, I want to send a shout out and thank you to a very few special individuals. And this goes out to all the people involved in planning Leadership Week. Leadership Week was really the last regular week we had of meetings as a club. It was an absolutely amazing week. And I want to give a big thank you to President-elect Sam Thompson and his entire committee who pulled out an exceptional week of events, including past President Ann Platt and current board members Lisa Walker, Susan Stiles, Fred Sylvester, and of course the #1 administrator in the universe, Becky Mikulski. So let me just bring us back a little bit to what happened during that week. If you'll recall, first we had a fireside chat. That was at the home of Tom and Catherine Gump, and this is of course with Rotary International Director Stephanie Urchik here visiting for an entire week. After the fireside chat, the next morning we had a joint meeting. And I want to give very special thanks to my colleague, Doug McElrath, the president of the Edina Morningside Rotary Club, who helped put that together. We do in fact have a picture from that very special morning. Here you see Rotary International Director Stephanie Urchik with her Rotary Club of Edina swag. She's got her Urchik shirt. Now she's a true member of our Gang for Good, the Rotary Club of Edina, and it was an absolutely awesome morning event. Following that, we had a leadership seminar organized by Ryan Murphy. That's Rotary Club of Edina member Tim Murphy's son, who's with the Egan Kickstart Rotary Club. And that was with speaker Michelangelo Caruso. Mr. Caruso, hope you're viewing in. Thank you again for traveling from Michigan to bring your knowledge to our members. Following that, we had Sip and Serve. This was a service and social event hosted by John Solberg from the Edina Morningside Rotary Club and Commercial Furniture Services. And then last but not least, the cherry on the sundae was our leadership breakfast put together by Ann Platt and Susan Stiles at the Interlochen Country Club. So again, it was just an absolutely wonderful week of events, and it shows the true value of Rotary in leadership development and personal and professional development. Now, it's time for the invocation. Today's invocation was provided by Father Tom Cook of St. Stephen's Church in Edina, who is also a member of the Rotary Club of Edina. Father Cook says, "Fellow Rotarians, we never know what each day will bring us, whether pleasant or profound, frustrating or frightening. But we know that Rotary is made for times like these. So it seems now is a good time to quiet our personal ambitions and strengthen our resolve to serve and care for others, as we are made to serve and care for others while time is with us. Let us pray. God of the present moment, God who stills the storm and soothes the frantic heart, bring hope and courage to us as we care for one another, and as we continue as Rotarians to be of service to our communities and to the world in times of great uncertainty. Bring hope that you will strengthen us to be equal to whatever lies ahead. With courage and fellowship, let us endure what cannot be avoided, in the knowledge that your will for all humanity is health and wellness. Amen. And now I'd like to invite Nicholas Sprague to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the four-way test. Nick?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. How about the four-way test? Of the things we think, say, or do,
is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
all right. Way to go, Spraggy. Good job. Okay, we have a few announcements. Actually, a lot of announcements because a lot of things changed this week. Obviously, as you know, most of society is at home right now. Not only businesses, but nonprofits and organizations throughout the metro are figuring out a way to adjust to the new normal. So I have a message here today that addresses this issue from our district governor, the district governor from 5950, 60 plus clubs in the Twin Cities Metro. And his name's Russ Michalitz, of course, also known as Retention Russ. Here is what Russ has to say. Dear District 5950 members, this is an update of the activities of your district leadership over the last couple weeks. We did officially postpone the district conference with minimal financial loss. We will work with the Arboretum on rescheduling, but with uncertainty about how long the COVID-19 crisis will last. We may be looking at late summer or fall for that get-together. Our normal training offerings, such as district assembly and grant management seminars, proceed as usual on a virtual Zoom platform. We will have new grant money starting July 1st to invest in our local and international communities. Our work doesn't need to stop and wait for the crisis to pass. In fact, the needs are even greater today. We need to end the TRF fundraising year strong and encourage electronic donations on Rotary.org. Hopefully soon we will all feel more financially secure as there is less uncertainty in the markets as time goes on. Clubs are taking big steps to become more virtually proficient. Nothing creates more opportunity for change than a crisis. Well, you got that right, Russ. Some clubs have better attendance by Zoom than they had in person. Speaking of which, we received permission from Rotary International to charter our second new club this year, a Passport Club, which is designed to be virtual for those that cannot commit to a traditional meeting time. Adding this club brings our district member growth to over 70 for the year. Truly outstanding. Finally, Rotarians at the club level are living up to their charge of being people of action. We are quickly creating formal and informal networks of information from club to club. Keep your good ideas coming and share them with other clubs directly through your assistant governors or District 5950 leaders. My theme for the year was around retention by providing member value. I was concerned that canceling meetings created risks to providing value and thereby negatively affected retention. After participating in a half-dozen virtual club meetings, I now believe we will be back with more camaraderie and enthusiasm than ever before once life becomes normal again. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Let's help each other get through the next couple months, and we will be stronger than ever together. Yours in service, Retention Russ. What a great message, Russ. Thank you so much for sending that along to all of our members. And along those lines of being flexible and managing change through innovation, we have a few scheduled changes ahead in April. First of all, unfortunately, some cancellations. After the executive board meeting this morning, the officers did decide to cancel our regular meetings through April. That means no meetings in person April 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. We will be issuing a partial member credit. Of course, we still have our own overhead and operating expenses that we need to cover as well. So we've tried to balance the two as best we can. Homeless lunch service on April 11th also has been canceled. The Andy and Elmer's literacy program at the elementary schools in Edina on April 13th and 20th has been canceled as well. In their place, now we have another great announcement of some new programs and grants that came together just this week. First of all, you remember our Rotary Happy Hour every month at the Mez? Well, guess what? It'll be happening again, but this time it'll be on Zoom. Yes, that's right. Our virtual Zoom Happy Hour will be happening Wednesday, April 1st. I believe our club administrator, Becky, has already sent out a notice for that so that you can get ready in advance, download that Zoom app on your phone or on your laptop, and just click that link at the scheduled time, which will be 6 p.m. on April 1st, and we'll be all together with our favorite drinks, talking about how this crisis is affecting our different industries. It's going to be a great chat and a great social event. Thank you, Renee Harberts, our social chair, for organizing this on the fly and being an innovator. In addition, you heard last week on Rotary TV, our member Jean Morrison starting the Rotary Helping Hands program. This is a program at our club that reaches out to those members over 70 to make sure their needs are being met throughout the crisis. Just as an interesting fact, I believe we have 53 out of 175 members that are over 70, so it is quite a large segment of the club. Jean has this to say about the program this week. Our world has changed with the global spread of the coronavirus. What has not changed is our commitment to service above self as Edina Rotarians. We take heart that while we are subject to social distance restrictions, Edina Rotarians have this opportunity to be more connected than ever through our Edina Rotary Helping Hands program. This program involves a group of Edina Rotarian helpers reaching out to check in, connect, and assist with specific needs of our senior and other Rotarians in need during this time of quarantine. If you'd like to be a helping hand or need a helping hand, please contact Jean Morrison at 612-804-2409 or at her email, jean@jeanmorrisonhr.com. The contacts have begun this week and will continue through the time of the quarantine and likely beyond to ensure our senior and fellow Rotarians are doing well and getting their needs met. Now is a time ever more to come together and be there for one another. I'm grateful for the caring and kind hearts of our Edina Rotarians. Yours in service, Jean Morrison. Yes, Jean, you've got the little rotary wheel spinning on all of our hearts, and I want to thank you so much for being an innovator and being so considerate and thoughtful about the needs of our senior members during this time of crisis. Another event that happened this week, this is actually a grant brought to us by Jennifer Benarat, who had some notice about the meals needs at the Edina Public Schools and brought that to the foundation board. We had a Zoom meeting, of course, meeting virtually, and your foundation board has decided to donate $5,000 to the Edina Public Schools Meal Relief Program. That program is run through the Edina Education Fund in partnership with Edina Give and Go. So again, I want to thank you, Member Benarat, past President Benarat, for bringing this to our attention, and for the entire Edina Rotary Foundation Board for approving this grant and getting some help out to the very basic needs to our students in the community. For those of you that might be interested yourselves in donating to this meal fund, the address is www.edinaedfund.org/meal-fund-COVID-19. Again, edinaedfund.org/mealfundcovid19. And now, a word from our exchange students who unfortunately could not be with us today because of the stay-at-home orders. If you'll recall, we have 2 inbound students this year that Rotarians from our club and from the Edina Morningside Club host, and that is Ayush Mundra from India and Rosario Reyes from Chile. Ayush did not have time to prepare a message, but Rosario did want to share some thoughts on her exchange to date, and I wanted to show you a picture of these 2 wonderful individuals. So on your left is Ayush, On your right is Rosario, and right in the middle is past Rotary International Vice President and Director Jennifer Jones. She was also a trustee as well. So she was here in the fall, and these two lucky individuals got to take a quick photo op with Jennifer while she was here. So back to Rosario, I'd like to share a message from her, and Rosario writes, "During this quarantine, I've realized how important the people I have met here in the U.S. are to me, not only in Minnesota, but around the world. COVID-19 has affected me because a lot of my friends are going back home, and we won't be able to finish this adventure together. This makes me appreciate things even more with this beautiful experience. My host families and all the friends I met are so dear to my heart. While in quarantine, I'm trying to keep my mind busy with different activities. This includes going for walks with my host mom and dog, reading books, writing letters to important people I've met in the U.S., looking through different pictures from the year, learning how to play piano, baking, enjoying the time with my host family, watching some movies and shows, using FaceTime to communicate with friends and family, and keeping myself informed about what's happening around with research and different readings. I am also waiting for the e-learning classes that are going to start next week at the Edina Public Schools." Rosario, sounds like you're using your time wisely, and I appreciate you sharing those thoughts with us. Both of you are in our hearts right now. I know this is a troubling time, but we appreciate your being with your Rotary family here in the United States as we go through this together. That's it for announcements. And now it's time for the speaker. It's now my pleasure to introduce today's program, which is Mr. Scott Neal. Scott is the acting city manager for the city of Edina, a position he's held for a decade now, since 2010. Prior to his position here, Scott was city manager for Eden Prairie from 2002 to 2010, and before that, for Northfield, Minnesota, Mount Pleasant, Iowa, and Norris, Tennessee. In addition to his role as city manager, Scott serves as the president of the Minnesota City County Managers Association and is an active member of the Rotary Club of Edina. Scott joined our club in February of 2011 with the classification of city government and was sponsored by Jennifer Benarat and Chris McGinty. In addition to his volunteer work, Scott is a generous donor to our international foundation, the Rotary Foundation, and is a multiple Paul Harris Fellow. And so, it's my honor today to welcome to the Rotary TV set my friend, fellow Rotarian, and Edina City Manager, Scott Neal.
What are we doing? This?
How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you know, as we prepared for this, and I saw the governor's order, I was just thinking to myself, I'm looking down the critical sectors for workers, and I noticed that we're both in critical sectors.
Real estate transactions.
So I'm just telling you, we're not violating, even though the order doesn't stop till Friday. You could be on this show every week for the next month.
Boy, I sure could, couldn't I?
Yes, real estate is a
critical.
It's a critical sector.
Essential service, yeah.
Yep, so is communications and technology. So we got our cameraman here, and of course, public government, and even lawyers. Now, tell me about that. No, don't tell me about that.
No comment, yeah.
All right, so, you know, before we get started, I just want to hear a little bit about your family. And I know that your son helped charter the Eco Club. Another one of those specialty clubs. That was last year, last fall, something like that. Yeah. They meet over at the Twin Cities. But tell me what the rest of the family is doing right now.
So my wife, Dee Dee, and I have been married for 36 years now, and she is working for a child development agency in North Minneapolis called Way to Grow.
Okay.
And my oldest son, Toby, and his wife, Marlena, and my granddaughter, Rosalie, live in Vienna, Austria. And they are under the same quarantine that we're under here.
Really?
My middle son, Turner, and his wife, Hannah, live and work in Shanghai. They work for an American high school in Shanghai called Concordia Academy. They happened to be out of the country right at the time when the virus was breaking in China, so they got locked out of their apartment. They got locked out of their jobs, and they were in Vietnam on vacation. So they had to go somewhere, so they came here, and so they've been here since late January, early February, staying in a variety of places, including our house and their in-laws' house. My youngest son, Ethan, is really busy right now. He and his wife Emma live in South Minneapolis. Ethan and Emma were both part of the original group that co-founded the Eco Club.
Okay.
Ethan is incredibly busy right now. He runs a big food shelf operation for Pillsbury United Charities. So they have a big food shelf on the south side, and they have the grocery store on the North Market on the north side. And so he's busy feeding people all day long, looking for money, looking for food. Yeah, it's a pretty essential service when we start talking about that.
I didn't know you were a grandfather.
I am a grandfather.
News to me.
I have a 4-year-old
That's
granddaughter.
That's a little gray coming in here.
She's the best. She's 4 years old. She's a little ginger princess, and I miss her terribly. I talk to her about every weekend. We Skype every weekend.
That's great.
And we had plans to go see her for her birthday, which is coming up in 2 weeks, but that got canceled. So next year.
Well, it's always good to see you. I don't know if the viewers know or not. We met actually before you were even city manager. I served on the citizen review panel as we were interviewing city managers. I mean, just want you to know personally, by far, you stood out so much. And we were so lucky to have you here in Edina, to have your expertise, especially in times like these where we really need an experienced hand to guide the process. And I also want to mention, you were the city manager when I was on the city council from 2011 to 2014.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I said to you was, you know what I think we should do? Crazy idea. I think we should go jump in the lake in the middle of winter. And you said, you know what? I'll do that with you, Sprague. And I have a picture of that.
I think I really said,
that?
There's no way in hell I'm going to do that with you, Sprague. And then you wore me down.
That's what I do. I wear people down.
Yeah, that's me.
That was actually right before. Now, I got to tell you, he actually jumped in with this suit on.
Yeah.
I kind of think it was a little bit of a cheat.
Bad move.
But it was heavier when you got in.
Yes,
you may have been
was
a little more insulated, but
I learned the strategy for that event is to wear less clothes, not more.
Okay.
Because you got to get them off fast, right? And if you got a coat and a tie and a T-shirt, and it was too much.
Yeah.
I threw it all away at the end.
I appreciate your friendship and your having fun with me on that one. That was good.
Happy to do it.
So
I'll never do it again.
Well, I can't convince you this year because we're already in the spring.
Yeah,
luckily.
sorry.
So let me ask you this: how is the morale at City Hall? Before you tell us a little bit about how the city is reacting to this, I'm sure you have a lot of news to share about how you're reacting to the COVID-19 crisis, how things are changing. But what's the morale of the staff? I'm asking that because I know that a lot of businesses are struggling with that. Not just small businesses, but large international businesses. How do we keep the morale up of the troops while we're going through this?
Yeah, I think the morale, given the tone of what this is turning out to be, I think the morale is really, really good. I think that what we're talking about with our individual employees is how do we continue services to our residents. It's not what's the fastest way I can get out of here. It's how do we keep things moving forward? How do we do our jobs from home? How do we do it in a different way so that we can continue to provide the services that our residents are asking for? So
this crisis is forcing innovation in the workplace
forcing
so quickly.
Innovation, absolutely.
Right? It's like innovation came to your doorstep and said, "Hi, I'm here. Let me." Right?
No, it's like innovation kicked the door in and came in and said, "I'm staying here. You better use me." Right? I think that's really what we've been dealing with.
So that tells me our workforce at City Hall is flexible and adapts well, because overnight they were forced to adapt.
Yeah, we had a small planning window, but we fit a lot of decisions within that window, and so far so good, right? We have a strong IT function in our city government, so they were ready for this kind of thing to happen. Tested all of our kind of virtual private networks and all of our teleconferencing software and connections.
Okay.
So that's been going well. I haven't had a face-to-face meeting with anybody, with the exception of this, in over a week, almost 2 weeks now. It's just been that different. It went from staff meetings of 10 people all at the same table to 10 people on a teleconference looking at each other through a WebEx.
Wow.
Yeah. Big difference.
Big adjustment. So let's talk about the service side. So City Hall is obviously closed.
City Hall is
to the public.
Right.
Yep.
So I think that's an important distinction. City Hall is like a lot of facilities, but City Hall in particular is closed to unscheduled public access. So there's still people working there. Even though the place is dark, we're still answering our phones. We are still responding to building permits, to assessing questions, to Parks and Rec questions, to utility bill questions. Those people you're talking to, they may be in City Hall at the time you're talking to them. They may be at home when you're talking to them. But we felt it was really important to not just have a place for you to buy something online or to give us money online, but also to hear a person talk to you and answer your question personally. So that's the level of service that we're trying to keep up.
So again, service delivery is on. It's just that those in-person visits are off right now.
That's right.
And that's scheduled through?
Well, at City Hall and through our Public Works and Parks Maintenance facility, which is just down over here on Metro Boulevard, we have announced that those facilities are going to be closed to unscheduled public access until April 3rd. And that we're going to make a decision on April 2nd. So they're closed till a Friday. April 2nd's a Thursday.
That's next Thursday.
Yeah, we're going to close them until those days. We'll make a decision on April 2nd about whether we're going to close going forward. Given the governor's action this week, I'm guessing we will be, and we'll announce that next week.
That starts this Friday,
Starts
really
Friday.
Saturday morning
Yep.
at midnight, and then it goes 2 weeks from there.
Right.
And then on top of that, it's another 3 weeks of social distancing again. So we
Right.
kind of go up in a level of severity, and then we come back down to social
Yeah.
distancing.
Yep, that's
Okay.
right. And then our other facilities are most of our Parks and Rec facilities are closed until further notice. So the ice arena, Edinburgh Park, some aspects of Centennial Lakes Park. We're closing a lot of our playgrounds right now.
I saw they were wrapped with the...
Yeah.
Yep.
The art center. All of those kind of facilities are closed until further notice. So.
But green space for people to exercise and run around, assuming the 6-foot required distance, that's still open.
That is still open. We're having some trouble with some larger group activities that are starting to occur, sort of impromptu in
Right.
places. We're
Like
doing
pickup games
like
of-
pickup games
okay.
of soccer or
Okay.
something like that. So we're doing our best to address those kinds of things, but yeah, we haven't closed our parks yet. We want people to have a place to exercise, but we have closed the playgrounds because that was it wasn't tenable with the number of kids that were being too close to each other at any single time.
I got a question. So for law enforcement, they don't receive education on how do you deal with, people when you have a shelter in place or a stay-at-home order to keep them conforming to the rules. It seems like there would be a very delicate balance between enforcement and communication. And so how are they navigating that? And I don't mean just the city of Edina police. I mean everyone in the state who's going to have to deal with this issue with citizens.
Well, that's a really key question that we are resolving sometime today before noon tomorrow. We're going to have a special closed session of our council actually to talk about it.
Okay.
The governor's order is pretty clear in some respects, but in others it's not as clear as we wished it would be. For instance, in other states, the governors have made it clear who they expect to enforce the stay-at-home ordinance. In Minnesota, we didn't really do that. I think the governor said it was voluntary, and he hopes that people will follow it voluntarily.
But there's a fine or something.
But there's
as well.
a fine. There's a fine involved too. So people aren't going to fine themselves voluntarily. We know that.
Right.
But our officers are good problem-solving people, right? That's part of the reason they get into this line of work. So we just need to figure out kind of what role are we going to play. We got an email, for example. We got an email this morning from a resident who was at a local retail store, and she observed what she believed was a violation of the social distancing directive, and she wanted to know if the police were going to come out there and take care of that. That's the kind of thing we're going to get Monday times 1,000, right? I think it's going to be that. I saw something at the grocery store. I saw something in a park, and we got to decide how we're going to handle that kind of thing. Are we going to, because we don't really have the authority to give somebody a citation or arrest them or anything else. And police need to have a source of authority to take that kind of action if they're going to deprive you of your liberty or your money somehow.
Yeah, well, just to add to the confusion, I know that I have several people in my friend circles, and of course me and my household, that are in the critical sectors. And those industries have been sending those people certificates to have in the car,
Yep.
which made me think maybe they're thinking that if you're driving down the road, you know, there's two cars on the road, someone pulls you over and they say, hey, are you even supposed to be on the road? What are you doing? And they go, yeah, I have my critical sector badge. I got it from the Minnesota Association of Realtors just the other day because they were wondering, does this mean you can still show homes? Does it mean you can have open houses? Obviously that's no, but there's going to be some questions as people leave for these appointments as to whether they're, you know, whether they're within the rules and what authority the police would have or what they could say. But
we are doing the exact same thing with our essential employees as well. So all of our public works and all of our essential employees, we're going to provide them a letter like that describes the fact that they are essential and they work for the city of Edina, because our employees live everywhere, right? We have a large kind of commuter shed for people that work here and live somewhere else.
So tell me about supply shortages. I know that we have a lot of, obviously gas is plentiful and cheap right now, but we also have a big electric fleet. But what else are you struggling with at City Hall? Anything?
So
besides toilet paper. We all know about toilet paper.
We have a strategic toilet paper reserve. So
Okay, good.
We're not too worried about that. I would say the things that are in shortest supply for us are PPE, right? It's the personal protective equipment. And you hear that a lot in the healthcare setting, but we use them as well for our police department and our fire department and for our facilities management folks, so the people that operate our buildings, clean our buildings, etc. We were using them quite a bit and still are, I think, at our liquor stores in terms of serving the public there as well. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. So you're saying that in the retail stores, the clerks had the masks and the gloves on? They did not. They weren't using masks.
Okay.
But they were using gloves.
Okay.
And gloves are something that we're not comfortable with the supply that we have right now. We think the supply chain is about ready to respond back to normal with that. We use a lot of masks in the police and the fire side, especially the ambulance response. So that's something that's important to us too. We've got a sense now of what our kind of daily burn rate is for masks. Right now, we're not making our own masks at home like they are in some parts of the country, but we certainly feel some vulnerability to that supply chain right now.
This could be a future service project. We could be making masks.
we could, but I hope we're going to just be able to buy something.
You'd rather have the real deal, right?
We'd much rather have the real deal.
So another thing I noticed I was so proud of, Edina had a community resource page up so quickly for the COVID-19 crisis. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And I'm going to just tell you, for our viewers out there, I'm just going to give you the address to check it out. It's bettertogetheredina.org/COVID-19. We'll show you that website as well, but tell us a little bit about how that came together and what resources are available.
Well, how it came together is that we needed some way to, not just some way, we needed multiple ways to communicate with the public. And so this was a way that we could bring not just our own resources into play, but also resources from the private nonprofit world as well. So we staffed a function. We didn't create a new position, but we took an employee who was doing something else, MJ Lehman, and put MJ in charge of kind of bringing this all together. And so
communications frontline
staff. She works with our senior center, our public health, our police department, fire department, and then just a number of different private nonprofits in the community, and really put together a lot of their information at that source. So that's an important source. Another important source of information from what the city is doing, for what the city is doing, is our own website, edinamn.gov. Right at the top, there's this bright yet red ball, and you can click on that, and that'll take you to all sort of city-related announcements of what's open, what's closed, what's reopening, what's closing, those sorts of things. For people in the mobile world, we've had a mobile app for a long time, for a couple of years, Edina 311.
Yep.
And we have just added a COVID-19 section to that mobile app as well. So those are our three biggest ways that we communicate people in this kind of the social media era. In addition to our Facebook page and Instagram and every other social media outlet that we have.
And so on bettertogetheredina.org/COVID-19, I noticed there's these you're matching the people with needs to the people that can jump in and volunteer, right?
Right.
Okay.
So this is a function that what we were looking for in this area is these are some functions typically that we don't get into, right, in our typical normal city government business. It's a little bit outside of our orbit. So that's where that page came into play, as we were looking for a way to provide help to people outside of our traditional city services.
I commend you for putting that together. The speed of it is what just surprised me. It's good to know we have a great city manager on top of his game here with us.
Okay, let's make sure that people know that the IT people, the design people, the service providers are really the ones who are doing that work and really got it going fast.
No question, but it helps.
I got out of their way,
It
so
helps
that was
to have
helpful.
great leadership. Come on.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, is there anything else you want to share with our viewers about what's happening at the city during the crisis, or anything they can be doing to help?
I think the biggest thing that we need help with really is all of those things that you keep hearing over and over about reducing the spread and reducing exposure to vulnerability. Wash your hands, use personal protective equipment whenever you can if you are in the world where you need that. But the simple sort of hygiene practices that we all need to use, social distancing, all of that is very helpful, not just to you as a person, but to your community as well. We have to start thinking about this as being something where I have an interest in whether you're well or not, right? Because of the way that this is spread. So we have to think of this as a communal activity, and to protect each other, we got to protect ourselves.
This is sort of what Governor Cuomo was talking about in New York, about the people that are going out and trying to be considerate of others because your behavior can affect them so quickly, right?
That's right.
Yeah. I have a great little fun thing to do here at the end.
Let's do it.
This little thing I call is the weekly Corona quiz.
Okay.
So, Scott, Neal.
All right.
Here's the question for you.
Got it.
Can you name 5 of the top 10 grocery item shortages in the United States right now?
Right now.
Yep.
I would guess Clorox wipes.
Nope.
Hand sanitizer.
Nope. This is grocery item shortages
I
only.
buy those in a grocery store.
But that's not on my list, so no. Keep going.
Orange juice.
Nope.
Water.
Yep. Water's...
Bread.
Bread.
Peanut butter.
Nope.
Fresh fruit.
Definitely not on America's top 10 grocery item shortages. I wish it was.
Frozen pizza.
Frozen pizza. Coming in at number 10, yes. And one more guess.
I'm going to guess...
Something so obvious.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper,
Okay.
number 1 answer. Here it is, the top 10 grocery item shortages in the U.S. Number 10, frozen pizza. Number 9, bananas. I guess that's fresh fruit.
I got that one right.
We'll give it to you.
All right.
Number 8, bottled water. Number 7, bread. Number 6, canned beans.
Oh.
And just an interesting little tidbit, dried beans are up 231% over last year.
Dang it.
Rice, number 5. Eggs, number 4. Pasta, number 3. Chicken breasts, number 2. And our number 1, of course, is toilet paper.
So I got 4 out of 5. If
you know what
give
they
me
say
bananas.
about the toilet paper shortage?
What do they say?
They're wiped out. Hey, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I want to tell you that Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change. From literacy and peace to water and health, we are always working to better our world, and we stay committed to the end. In honor of your presentation today, Scott, we'll make a donation to Rotary's official disaster relief partner, ShelterBox, which provides emergency shelter to families devastated by natural disaster and conflict around the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good to
Namaste.
see you. We'll bump you out of here.
All right. Take care.
Have a great week.
See ya.
Okay. This is normally the part where I tell you who's next week's speaker is going to be, but we don't know. We're working very fluidly and we're adapting as well as the rest of you. So stay tuned. In the Barker on Tuesday, we'll give you that message. Pretty much everything is TBA right now, but I can tell you May and June are shaping up to be absolutely amazing months in the club. We hope to get the Rotary machine humming again, and we'll keep you posted again through the Barker. And also some of you will be getting phone calls through the Rotary Helping Hands program this week. As we close today's meeting, I'd like to share a quote from Steve Jobs. Neal, you'll like this one. American business magnate, industrial designer, investor, and media proprietor. He was the chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Apple Inc., the chairman and majority shareholder of Pixar, a member of the Walt Disney Company Board of Directors, and the founder, chairman, and CEO of Next. Jobs is widely recognized as a pioneer of the personal computer revolution of the 1970s and 80s, and we all know the legacy he created with the iPhone. Steve said, "Innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity, not a threat." That's what we're doing as Rotarians right now. We're innovating our clubs, we're making flexible changes, and we're seeing this not as a threat but as an opportunity so that we can better serve others and create a leaner, faster, and more effective organization. And we don't know where the opportunities are ahead, but we know that they're coming. It could be in communication, could be in service, could be in membership growth in different ways. These are the questions that we'll be asking ourselves over the next 30 to 60 days. And I would argue we're already answering the call. Look at Gene Morrison's Helping Hands program. Look at Renee Harbert's Zoom Rotary Happy Hour. Look at Rotary TV. Look at the new grants to the Edina School District Meals program. We are doing it, and we're doing it together as one Rotary family. As you go about your week, remember that together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves, as Rotary pursues its mission to connect the world in meaningful ways. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in to this week's broadcast. Be safe and have a great week. Meeting adjourned.